Hello everybody, this is Lauren, Joe, Chelsea, and Kylie, and our 300 project is focused on groundwater extraction using siphon wells. An environmental issue we face today is dry land salinity. This is caused by excessive salinity in groundwater in an area where there is little to no leaching or clearing of the salt. This ends up destroying the top layer of soil used for crop production. In Western Australia, this has become one of the major issues for crop production. Areas where there would normally be perennial vegetation that would use all of the rainfall and decrease salinity of groundwater were cleared for seasonal crops. However, now these crops are damaged or destroyed through the salty soil. The damage is worth at least $519 million a year. Effective crop production is crucial for agricultural land that relies on the benefits of this production, and without this income, many rural areas are immediately affected. One solution that engineers are looking into is siphon wells that would manage the chemistry of the groundwater. Research has shown small successes in towns where these wells have been built and there has been reclamation of the area. However, cost and benefit analysis from other research has shown it to be too risky for the assets of a town that is affected by dry land salinity. A lot of this research does not consider the long-term benefits to the environment, the water quality, and the economy of the region. In this process, a siphon is bored into the ground until groundwater is reached, where it is pumped up and out into other catchment areas. In our research, the top container represents the groundwater extraction, while the bottom container is the discharge area. In our project, we are researching the effect of pump height on the flow rate of the liquid, as a higher flow rate would increase the efficiency of the extraction. We used 3 pump positions, one which was a third of the total height between the 2 containers, one was halfway, and another was 2/3 of the height. We marked the middle of the pump and lined it up to each point in the system. The pump was squeezed once for each trial, and a stopwatch was started when the liquid exited the outlet pipe. When there was sufficient accumulation in the bottom tank, the pipe was clamped, allowing no more liquid to flow, and the stopwatch stopped. This is a video showing the fully developed laminar flow of one trial. As you can see, the water fills the whole tube with no obstacles. This video shows how the pump position changed the entrance length of the flow regime, where it is farther down in the pipe.
This experiment used 2 main methods to determine the fluid velocity. First, by dividing the volume of water transferred to the discharge by the total time elapsed and the cross-sectional area of the tube. Second, by solving a simplified equation given by the Bernoulli principle for the velocity terms. This simplification relies on the assumption that the pressure, velocity, and pump head of pressure were 0, or that they changed negligibly. In order to determine the final Bernoulli principle derived velocity, the velocity found via dimensional analysis was used to find the friction factor. Then the calculated velocity was found. This process was iterated 4 times until the friction factor change between iterations was less than 1%.
As shown in the figure, the velocities at different pump heights were generally the same for both estimated and calculated flow velocities. This implies that pump height is not correlated to fluid velocity. This makes sense as the pump in a siphon system is just used to prime the tube or pipe at the beginning, and its effect on head loss will be the same regardless of location in the tube or pipe. The estimated velocities produced Reynolds numbers around 1600, which is laminar, while the calculated velocities produced Reynolds numbers around 5000, which is turbulent. The actual velocity is then probably closer to the estimated velocity as the flow appeared laminar when running the trials. This analysis shows that the location of a pump on a siphon system does not affect the extraction efficiency.
In conclusion, the experiment determined that the height of the pump had no effect on the fluid velocity. This could have been due to how small-scale the system was. The Bernoulli equation also had higher velocities than the velocities that were estimated using the flow rate and area. This is potentially because of the assumptions that were made or from human error. In the future, experiments could investigate if upscaling the system would have made the pump position matter, and variables like height could be changed in case a greater height difference is needed to have a noticeable effect on the velocity. The assumptions that were made in the Bernoulli equation could also be calculated to see if the velocities would have less of a difference. And finally, if the experiment were to get refined, other things such as the piping materials and the fluid viscosities could be tested to see if there were any velocity differences.